Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to sift through everything we know about the future of Alice in Borderland. Season 3 landed back in September, huge premiere, and, well, it left us with a lot to talk about.
It really did. I mean, it gave us that emotional payoff,
Arr.
Arisu and Usagi finally back in the real world, married, expecting a child.
Yeah,
That felt pretty definitive for them, like closure.
it absolutely felt like closure. Right up until those final few moments, completely pulled the rug out. Usagi gets pulled back, and then suddenly we see this global chaos. It's not just Tokyo anymore.
Right. Which immediately raises the big questions we need to tackle. First, what's the actual official status of Season 4? And second, what were those narrative threads Season 3 left dangling? Because they clearly left some doors wide open.
Okay, so the status, this is where it gets interesting, or maybe frustrating, depending on how you look at it. Officially, nothing. Netflix hasn't confirmed a renewal, but they haven't canceled it either. It's just silence.
Yeah, limbo. And what's really adding to the confusion is the mixed signals, right? You've got the director, Shinsuke Sato, and the main actors, Kenta Yamazaki and Tao Tsuchiya, all saying they're keen to come back.
But then you have Netflix itself, which, let's remember, heavily marketed Season 3 as the quote-unquote final season. So was it the final season overall, or just the final season for their specific story? That seems key.
It does. And we also need to be realistic about timing, I think. Even if they announce Season 4 tomorrow, look at the history. Season 2 took 3 years after Season 1. So a potential Season 4. We're probably talking 2027, maybe even later.
That's a long wait, especially when you think about the scale of what they hinted at. That sense of closure was definitely an illusion. The sources really point towards unresolved stuff, suggesting a much, much bigger game world.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Joker card.
Ah, the Joker, yeah. It wasn't presented as just another game master or an escape route this time. It felt reframed, more like chaos itself, or unpredictability, maybe tied to the structure of time. Like the cards represent days, months.
And the Joker is that extra element, the wild card, the 365th piece that represents the unknown built into the system, moving it from just a game piece to like a fundamental rule of this universe. That's a big shift.
A huge shift. And that abstract idea of universal chaos seemed to bleed directly into the real world in those final scenes, those massive earthquakes, the disasters happening everywhere, not just Japan. It implies the Borderland concept has gone global.
Totally. No longer contained. And wasn't there that scene in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
In a diner with a waitress named Alice? That felt very deliberate.
Oh, extremely deliberate, inviting two new people into something. It strongly hints at a geographical shift, maybe new players, maybe even a focus outside Japan altogether.
Okay, so if it does continue, where could it realistically go? The sources seem to sketch out what four main possibilities. You've got the global expansion, leaning into that LA scene, or focusing on a completely new protagonist, maybe that Alice.
Right. Then there's the idea of really digging into the mythos exploration. The why behind the Borderland, who or what is running it. And the fourth option is maybe a dedicated spin-off, perhaps a Western or international version.
That global expansion idea, moving the games to different countries, different cultures, that sounds really interesting on paper. But when you lose something, that specific Tokyo atmosphere was so core to the show's feeling.
That's a fair point. It was very distinct, that feeling of being trapped in a familiar but deserted city. Maybe exploring the mythos is the way to go then. Finally giving us answers about the game masters, the purpose. But that's risky too, isn't it? Sometimes the mystery is better than the explanation.
Definitely a risk. So, connecting these threads, does Season 4 even need Arisu and Usagi as the main players anymore? It feels like the most likely path, maybe, is that continuation, but with that geographical pivot we talked about. New faces, new places.
I think so. It allows Arisu and Usagi to keep their hard-won peace, sort of becoming legacy characters, the ones who survived the original game. And that frees up the franchise to explore how these survival games play out in different cultural contexts, keeps the whole concept fresh.
Yeah, it shifts the focus from Arisu's journey of finding himself in the ruins of Tokyo to something bigger, exploring the structure of this global, maybe even cosmic game.
Exactly. The personal struggle becomes part of a much larger, possibly universal picture.
So for you listening, what really stands out here is the potential scale. The show seems to be saying the games aren't just Japanese, they're everywhere, and maybe they adapt. So think about this. If you were suddenly dropped into a Borderland, but somewhere else entirely, say London or Rio or Cairo, what kind of game would you face? What local landmarks, what specific terrain, what cultural twists would define your survival challenge? Something to ponder while we wait for any official word.